Hi, I'm Nick Fowler. I'm the sales manager for Northern EMEA and the general business manager within VMware. Previously from AirWatch as we've come into the fold. And today I'm going to talk to you about digital transformation and how are you managing the world of change. So today you're going to get insight into some of the preview to announcements next week. There's going to be a worldwide announcement of our new product set as joint between VMware and AirWatch. So you're going to see some of that today. Going to go through some of the strategies, some of the features, and some of the things you need to consider as part of transforming to the digital workspace within your organizations. So first of all, we've got a timeline here. So this starts in the end of 2013 and through 2014. So there's been a huge amount of work done between AirWatch coming into the fold. So as you can see in the February there, AirWatch was procured by VMware. So that's the first time that we came together as two organizations. And ever since then, there's been a huge amount of innovation from both sides of the camp as we've come together with our feature sets and our technologies. So as we moved into 2015, we introduced the AirWatch 8 platform, which was a complete step change for the enterprise mobility space. So we moved from being an MDM provider to enterprise mobility management, so incorporating all of the content management, email management, browser management, etc., as we came into the VMware fold. And as we've gone through this, the industry analysts have seen and worked with us and seen a huge improvement from where we all were like 5 or 6 years ago to where we are now. So the end-user computing arm of VMware became a strong positive. IDC have named AirWatch as the world leader again for the 4th time, as well as Gartner for the 5th time in 5 consecutive years. But now we've got to a point where we've had lots of acquisitions, lots of products coming together. So we've done all the human resources piece within our two organizations, and now we're ready to come to the market and promote a single solution, which will bring everybody into this new world of the digital workspace. So you'll see on some of the slides today, there's a name to be confirmed, and that's because I can't name what the product sets are going to be until Tuesday. But we are running some worldwide WebExes, which we're more than happy to provide you with the information so you can get onto those next week. They're on the usual places like Twitter, our Facebook pages on both sides of the camp, and also if you come and see us at the stand, we'll help you get onto there. Okay, so a few statistics. Everyone likes statistics. So the world's largest organization here, this is all around the end-user computing piece. So this is the reliance on end-user computing, may it be virtualization, may it be enterprise mobility, et cetera, et cetera. So, you know, as you can see, a very strong set of percentages there for the organizations around the world, all the strongest organizations relying on this type of technology. If we boil that down a bit and go into a subset within the VMware, so the Horizon set, again, very, very strong. So you can see, you know, the virtual desktop, the virtual workspace, and access to information applications from various different areas, wherever it's stored. They rely on the Horizon set and the VMware piece. And as you can see here with AirWatch, so the stats come down a little bit, but this is in relation to the organizations around the world, not so much uptaking the EMM piece. So we have the largest chunk, so we have the 26% of the Global 2000 here, but not all the Global 2000 have invested in the EMM platform. Okay, so although we're the strongest and the largest chunk there, obviously you can see the stats have come down a bit. So what does this all mean? So where are we going? What does the digital workspace mean? So in the new world, as we progress in technology, we're all supplying services to our end users, may that be a consumer user, maybe a work user, etc. However, in the workplace, everything now seems to be moving and changing through to the consumer simplicity. So what that means is end users, doesn't matter if they're using a work device or if they're using their own device, expect the same experience. So they're all used to picking up a device, clicking an application, opening it up, accessing their information. They don't care about the security, they don't care about the compliance, and they don't care where it is. They just want to pick a device up, any device they want, click the app, and get access to it immediately without any pain, you know, so signing in, et cetera, et cetera. So the drive now for even the workplace is the consumer rather than the IT buyer delivering services, or the consumer coming to them and saying, we want to do this, and they say no. So it's all around now about the IT teams and the IT systems and the buying systems here, them being able to say, yes, we can do that. It's all about shifting to the consumer simplicity. However, we need to make sure the enterprise security is still underlying here. So it's all well and good the consumer of the application or the information or the data saying, I want to do this, but we need to make sure still that the enterprise security is still underlying, and we can do that. So we can help deliver what this whole digital workspace means. So the end user wins, and the IT teams get all their policies, all their compliance, and everything. So we're going to step through some of that today. So why do we transform to the digital workspace? Well, there's a list of things here, which is everyday conversations that we have with our clients day in, day out. So whether it's device heterogeneity, so they can have any device, any place, or whether it's a Windows 10 rollout, or they're moving their legacy systems, a BYOD program. Endpoint management, so how are we making sure these things are secure? Unified app access, so it doesn't matter where they go for the information, that app on whichever device will work and give the user instant access, but secure access. Enterprise Internet of Things. So the Internet of Things is a very new space. However, the world is moving to it. So this is the connected car. So this is where you first see, you're going to first see this sort of stuff. Or even vending machines. It's all happening in the background. And you as a consumer don't see it. However, it's the Internet of Things, and these things need to be managed. Identity as well, so identity as a service or identity management, which we're going to go on to in a bit more detail shortly. And the business transformation, so lots of organizations are having to change to ensure they stay one step ahead of their competitors. They need to be able to make sure that they're attracting the right talent to come work for them rather than going to their competitors. So making sure that they deliver a service which says, you just come to us, you bring whatever you want to use, whatever you're used to using as your method of access to information, and we'll make it work for you. You go and do what you use, whatever you want to do, and then we'll make it work, and we'll secure it down. And the consumerization of all of this piece as well. So again, this goes back to the consumer simplicity of being able to give them capabilities, which is just single-click, easy access. So with the whole transformation is completely surrounded by some of this, most of this, and other things as well which come up. So where do we need to get to? So the whole point of this is any application, so the users are saying, I want to get access to this, I want to get access to that, any device. So they should be able to pick up any one of their own devices, or if their device runs out of charge, pick up their colleague's device and get access to their information, corporate owned. And what we've got here in the middle here is the digital workspace. So this is where I had to remove the name. So the name will be confirmed on Tuesday. And this is where we're bringing our AirWatch and VMware services together. Okay, so what does this look like? So you've got the three pillars here. So you've got your desktops, so the traditional desktops in the office. You've got laptops and all the kind of heavy Windows devices. You've got the mobility piece, mobiles, tablets, etc. And then the last piece here, which is content collaboration. So this is another key area where the clients that we speak to all the time are moving to as well. So access to SharePoint, access to their Office 365, access to information, documents, collaboration, working together on documents, maybe legal documents, sales documents, whatever it may be. But these are kind of three kind of pillars now where we're focusing with customers because this is the feedback that they give to us. And these are the three pillars that we're taking to market. However, we have also underneath here, which is the identity manager piece. So the identity manager underpins the security for all of this. Okay, so this is where we can deliver the capability to have a single sign-on. So the user will pick up their device, they'll sign in their Active Directory credentials on one app, and then they'll have access to all of the apps without having to open up an app, log in, open another app, log in, etc., etc. So they could log in at the beginning of the day on any one of their devices, and then they've just got instant access throughout the day. So the previous model that we used to run before we are bringing this solution to the marketplace was more around VMware coming out to see customers and talking about their Horizon 6, their NSX programs, their vRealize, etc. And then we had the AirWatch team as well, coming out and just talking about enterprise mobility and the unified endpoint, etc. But we bring in these now together, and this is where we have this digital workspace. So we now have the ability to come to you, help you with your strategies to move into this new world and make sure that we're providing, or you can provide to your end consumers, the ability to have this open access, but secure access. So what does this look like? So you have your software-defined data center. So in the back end, you've got everything that's running, all your computing, all your heavy lifting, all the storage, all the networking, et cetera, and it's all virtualized on your platforms. You could have your hybrid cloud. But on top of this, now you're adding these desktop, mobile, and content collaboration pillars. And this is the end-user computing part, which is giving you access to your internal services. But on top of that, this is where the applications sit. So a nice position for an end user to be able to pick up their device and then go, right, click on any one of these. Doesn't matter if it's in the cloud or if it's on-premise or whatever. They just pick it up, and the user experience is going to be second to none. And they can use any device they want to. May it be you deliver that to them as a corporate-owned device or a shared device, or whether they have it as a BYOD. So the main key principles here are the any application, any device. The business mobility piece is key. So this is where the strategy of organizations that we're talking to are moving into. So it's no longer about IT supply. It's around complete business mobility. And the consumer simple, enterprise secure. So they're the three key ones that I'd like to pick out there. So there's been some major platform innovations of recent. So within the AirWatch piece at the top here, it may only look like 8 and 8.1 and 8.2 are small subset releases, but these are major step changes of where we've been pulling in technologies. If any of you have got AirWatch implemented, then you'll realize some of the changes we've gone through. Now, we have releases every 2 weeks on our platform, and that's typically to keep up with the OEMs and the OS providers. I mean, there's 19,000 iterations of Android, and they change every week, sometimes every day. So we have to keep up to pace with that. So we have a proud standpoint where we can have same-day support for all of these. So when Apple bring out version 9.3 or 10 or whatever it is in the future, we'll be there. So we are working with the OS providers for sometimes up to a year and a half before they release these, and assist them with some of the feature sets and APIs and all those kind of things that need to be built in. So the key area here is to make sure that when a user brings their device in the morning, or if they go and queue up for the latest and greatest Apple device at midnight when they release it, they're going to be bringing that into your organization the following morning. And so you need to make sure that you can secure that and you can make sure they get their access to whatever they need. So we can provide that based on all the work that we have to do in the background. And we've had some very interesting investments and acquisitions. So the Identity Manager and NSX piece are two key players in our future strategy around the security of the network, as well as the identification and single sign-on of the user. And we've also procured an organization called Boxer, which you may or may not know, but that's a secure inbox solution, which is second to none in the market. So we procured that organization and brought them into the fold, paid them all in, and we've actually now got to a point now where we're going to be releasing that. And also the ACE app configuration for enterprise. So this is a non-selfish play for VMware and AirWatch. This is a marketplace first, where we are driving this program for all of the EMM platforms within the marketplace now. And it's all around driving the capability of the internet service, the ISVs who develop the applications such as Salesforce or Workday or Xamarin, etc. So they can actually have only one app which will go across all EMMs. So they don't have to have 5 or 6 apps within the App Store. So this is a really big piece which we could talk about for a long time, but very, very key with regards to moving away from app wrapping and SDKs and all those kind of things. So we all know that work is changing in the way we do work, and we all know that the work mobile piece is coming together with the consumer side. So the important key part here is to make sure that when we're talking to our customers and for you as organizations to understand the use cases. So whether or not it's full remote workers, if they're temporary workers which are on the periphery, or mobile executives, they all have different needs. So they'll all have different requirements for apps, they'll all have different requirements for access, different levels of security, et cetera, et cetera. So we find that the most successful rollouts into the digital workspace and the end user computing side are where the customers really understand the use case of their end users. Because if you don't, then they're going to be having access to things they don't need, their device is going to be full of information they don't want, but it needs to be simple, and it needs to be concise, and it needs to be relevant for that user. So, as you can see on here, most of these are going to be corporate or provided devices, except for the contractor on the right-hand side here. So you need to be able to give the same level of access to contractors or people who don't work for your organization permanently, but securely as well, and maybe time-based, so you can actually time them out at a certain point, and then everything gets removed, revoked, and you don't have to think about it. You can enroll them into the program, they can get access to everything they need to see, and then they just get removed at the end. So you've got some of the key areas here at the bottom, and some of the questions that we ask our customers. So the one in blue is the bring your own program. So this is probably the highest discussion that we have with our customers. Bring your own devices. Not everyone's put them in place, but everyone's talking about it. And everyone's waiting for that moment where they could actually have something that they can put in place and they know will deliver the service to their end user, but on their own devices. So this is probably one of the most important pieces in end user computing that needs to be addressed. And how this looks. So you've got your bring your own device users at the top, corporate owned users, doesn't matter. It may even be a shared user. So shared devices are one device shared amongst many. So this is big in education, big in healthcare, where you've got multiple users using a single device, so you check it out and check it in. And it doesn't matter what OS they're using, it doesn't matter what device they're using. But what is important is the experience of the end user is they expect to be able to have an app store or a self-service store. So they expect to be able to go, right, well, I haven't got that, so I need to go somewhere to get it. They used to go into the Apple App Store. They used to go into the Google Store or the Microsoft stores. So this is the experience that they want to have on their devices when they come into the organization. But at the baseline, you need to make sure the security is still there, so the policy is still there, all the compliance is still there, all the security strategy is still in place, but giving them exactly what they need. So from left to right here, this is where the kind of consumer side is, right through to the IT drives. So any application, any device, we already know that. Single sign-on, important. The brokerage that the authentication gives on the single sign-on is irrelevant to the end user, and they just want to use it. So they just want to get it. They just want to get access. Doesn't matter what device. We've got adaptive enrollment, so they pick the device up, we know what the device is, we know exactly what the posture is of that, and we make sure that it gets aligned properly. And then what's on the device? All the relevant things such as email, calendar, contacts, they're kind of a given, but the other applications as well. So it's important to know exactly what they want on there. And then the endpoint security right through to the remote configuration, all the distribution of licenses, all the distribution of applications, asset tracking. Everyone forgets about asset tracking. You need to know where all your devices, you've bought these devices, you need to make sure you know where they are at all times. So GPS can be turned on, it can be turned off, depending on the privacy of the end user. And then the NSX piece, so the intelligent networking, make sure that your network is secure. So per app VPN, one app to one box within your network, rather than one app to many parts of your network. So it's really important that we understand these. And some business examples of this. So if you've got programs running, or programs that you're thinking of running, so they're work from anywhere programs, so these are your complete road warriors. They're at home, they're in the office, they're with clients, they're with partners, they're with whoever. The bring your own device, well, obviously we've mentioned that already, so making sure that the devices are provisioned, making sure they're secure. And at the bottom one here, this is one that we've actually gone through. So mergers and acquisitions, we came into the fold with VMware. We had an immediate need where we needed to start sharing information, sharing applications, sharing content, sharing our customers, sharing our partners. So we've already gone through some of this already, and I would say that a lot of the organisations that sat in this room today would have gone through some of that as well. So just a really simple way of being able to go, right, we've bought this organisation or we've merged in with this organisation, let's enrol them, give them access. We can do it, 10 minutes, done, they're in. And then the transformation of business. So like I said before, staying one step ahead of your own competition within your own industries, making sure you're the leaders of technology and you're the leaders of being able to process things quickly, get in front of customers, sell things quickly, get the information flow and processes back. So these are examples, are kind of business examples, just a few. There are many, many more, but these are the kind of headline ones. But then we've got the technology examples as well. So through the conversations that we have with our clients, there's an extraordinary amount of organizations who are thinking or doing the cloud-first side of things. So they're moving from everything on-premise to everything in the cloud. May it be Office 365, may it be Google Docs, may it be Google for Work, may it be whatever. So technology may drive some of this move or this shift to the digital workspace. Windows 10, massive, everywhere. Everyone's talking about Windows 10. You've probably had presentations from Microsoft today, all talking about Windows 10. So this brings a whole new meaning to the world of management, because Microsoft have kind of grown up in the world of this now, and they've written in the capability for organizations like ourselves to be able to enroll and domain join a device within 10 minutes. So in the past, if you've had to put a gold build together, get a device, sit there for an hour while it builds up and all that kind of thing, it's quite a painful experience. So if you've got one device which takes 10 minutes, we've got the capability of doing bulk enrollment. So you could do one device, 100 devices, or even thousands of devices within that same 10 minutes. And all it has to be is just user creds, put them in, everything gets aligned. So you've got all the app volumes in the background, putting all the applications on there. You've got all the EMM platform, putting all the right policies and compliance rules in the background. Everything's done very, very quickly. And what that also does mean is if one of your users loses, drops, destroys, whatever, one of their devices, all they have to do is go into a store somewhere, buy another Windows 10 device. Within 10 minutes, they're back up and running to exactly where they were 10 minutes before when they dropped coffee on it or dropped it off the table and smashed the screen. And then the productivity of apps. So again, this is around making sure that the applications are usable. There's so many instances of applications where you click on the app and the information is horrible to get to. And making sure that the usability of that application is second to none for the end users. So what does this look like on a device? So this is just a tablet. So what we will be delivering as part of this new platform is the amalgamation of the VMware Horizon 6 desktop here and the AirWatch application catalog. And what that will mean to the end user is they will have access to servers, desktops, remote desktops, virtualized environments, containerized applications, so if they just want to do a containerized access to an Internet Explorer, or they'll have their Apple or Google apps showing up here as well. So it's going to be intelligent enough so that if they click on Concur or Workday or whatever, it will actually go to the App Store and download a local copy to the tablet, or if it's access to a virtual machine, it just goes off and does it. The end user just has to click an icon. That's what they're used to. And it will just give them the access. The intelligence in the background will just do the rest for them. So it will just display what they need. So it's bringing these two technologies together to give a single pane of glass for the end user to manage their entire life, work life, or private life balance. So what does this mean to the organization? So traditionally, when a solution or a service was being procured from a vendor like ours, the IT buyer was typically the ones that were engaged with our organization. So it's no longer about IT driving this. Okay, so the IT are the ones who are going to be sitting there waiting for people to say, this is the process we need, these are the apps that we need. And on the right-hand side here, we've got the business buyer. So sometimes we get access to the business buyer. This would be typically someone who is head of a team and they've got a specific need for something or access to something. But now we're moving into the realms of the mixed buyer. So organizations have got to shift to understand that it's a mix of IT, it's a mix of the applications that the consumer or the end user wants to use, but also the process-driven as well. So this is a completely new world for a lot of organizations. Now, we mustn't forget the user. So it's all well and good that we as organizations will be applying all these compliance policies and applications and GPS and all these kind of things to their devices. But the biggest blocker is usually around the conversation of privacy. Okay, so you get your end users, your trade unions, your French CNIL or your German Working Council come up and say, brilliant, you've got your users' devices, which they've bought themselves out of their hard-earned money, and you're going to be aligning management to these things. You're going to be asset tracking them. You're going to be GPS tracking them. What does that mean to the end user around their privacy, around their application privacy, around their GPS privacy? Because if you imagine you've got a user who's got an application to manage a health complaint, say a heart condition or diabetes or whatever, you don't really want the IT teams knowing from a management console or an asset track that John Smith has got diabetes. You've got an HR problem then. So we've got some really, really clever privacy within our technology to be able to collect data for compliance methods and run all those compliance and security against it, but not display that to the administrators. Only the end user will know what they've got on their device, but the device is still secure. They've still not got dangerous apps on there. They've still got all the compliance rules set in place. But your administrators are not going to see that. And it's all around transparency, making sure that you're telling your end users up front when they enroll into any of these programs exactly what you're doing with the device, or in fact not doing with the device. So in most cases with a bring your own service, you're not going to be collecting GPS data. You're not going to be collecting app data for display, but you will be running it for compliance. So it's all around making sure that you're completely transparent. Now, we've actually got built in with our service a non-editable privacy scrape, as it would be, from our service, which is displayed front and center when the user enrolls into these programs. The IT administrators cannot change that, and it will say exactly what privacy rules have been set for that end user. So this is fundamental for the success of a bring your own device platform or end users using their own devices. But it's also just as fundamental that the compliance and the security is overlaid on that as well. So we run a huge amount of thought leadership programs, and we have meetings with our customers, we have meetings with the relative bodies within the different parts of Europe, in this instance for this region. We run blogs, we go with microsites, etc., and we've actually won awards for the capabilities that we have within our privacy engines that we run both within AirWatch and within VMware. If there are any concerns around that within your organizations, we are more than happy to get involved. Okay, so the vision. So coming up on the screen here are pieces of information and services and automation that need to sit on the end user's devices. Whether or not they care about it, whether or not they need to know about it, it's got to be there. And we make sure that we're completely unifying this across the board, so they don't have to think about it. It's just done in the background. And so how we drive this is with our proven leadership in EMM. So if you haven't had any dealings with the AirWatch side of the VMware business before, then just to give you an understanding, we were first to market with the Apple Device Enrollment Program. We've also got the largest Apple volume purchase program customers. So we've got, as it says there, 10 million volume purchase licenses that have been synced since that has been launched. We were day one, like I mentioned before, on Windows 8.1 and Windows 10, and we were the very first organization to bring the Android for Work production program into play with Android services. You've probably had Google talking about Android for Work already today. We were the first to market on there. And now we run all this on a fully multi-tenanted, highly scalable, role-based administrated platform. We leverage APIs for all customer investments already, so may it be Active Directory, may it be a certificate authority, may it be a proxy, web proxy or internal proxy. We don't expect our customers, if they invest in VMware AirWatch, to have to buy additional things which will be compliant with our platform. We just hook into everything that's legacy that organizations already have in place. So may it be Active Directory, even identity. So if customers, identity management is big in the market at the moment. We have our own product, which is the VMware Identity Manager. But customers have already invested in Azure or Ping or Okta, etc. So we support all of those. Yeah, we can hook into those, and we can leverage that, and you can run your identity management on the service that you've already procured. And we have a huge technology base, which I've got a slide of just a subset of them pretty shortly. So don't want to dwell too much on the feature set of AirWatch, but the policy automation that we have in there is second to none around some of the things I've already said around GPS. So we have GPS automation. Just to expand on that, if you imagine you've got a user who has a super secure location that they're not allowed to have camera functionality working. So the devices are clever enough to be able to see where that GPS location is, as we all know. But then a policy can be aligned to that, which will switch that capability off. So if they're going into an area where they're not allowed to have camera, the company knows that when they take their devices into that area, they're still not going to be able to do it. And this can actually be run on the GPS, but also we've got partnerings with a lot of the Wi-Fi organizations, such as Aruba and Cisco, etc., where you can actually have location in a building. So where you've got Wi-Fi pods, as they move within building, you might have an area which is secure. A huge amount of policies and a huge amount of compliance capabilities. And another area which is coming up more and more now is the complete telecom management piece. So the bill shock conversations that we have with our organizations usually are contained around people who are roaming, like myself. I've got my phone on, I'm roaming, I'm picking up emails, I'm picking up, et cetera, et cetera. We have the ability to be able to align their tariffs or pooled plans so that we can automatically start restricting or opening policies for users who are using very, very heavy data, either on roam data or on native and country data, et cetera. But that's probably the biggest conversation we have. They don't really care about SMSs, they don't really care about voice because it's all usually all inbuilt. And then we have split billing, which has just been released as well. And rugged. So obviously we've talked about all of the Windows 10 and all the latest Apple devices, etc., but we still manage legacy Windows CE or 6.5 devices. We've got hundreds of thousands of devices which are in warehouses, scanners, barcode readers, et cetera, So we as AirWatch 3 years ago bought the Motorola service platform. We've integrated all of that and we've brought all the customers on board and we've expanded our reach in the rugged side. So we're still managing these legacy devices. So not only are we investing our research and development within that as well, but also in the new stuff. And we've talked about the desktop quite a lot. So moving on to the Internet of Things, I've just got a couple of slides here. So we don't only manage the OSs that we all know in our devices. We also have other things like QNX. We support Tizen, which is the new Samsung. And this is where the Internet of Things is moving to. So we've got quite a few healthcare companies where they've got scanner machines, X-ray machines, et cetera, have got black boxes in. So we're managing those and we're asset tracking them, we're pulling analytics from them, a lot of basic stuff, but we're also making sure that their maintenance time is not elapsed, they've not got faults, all these kind of things, which are really important, specifically if you've got hospitals all over the world or over a region, and you don't want to have to keep sending people out to double check them. You can just click a button and see the health of every single one of those devices and exactly what's going on. And one of our biggest customers in the Internet of Things, and one of the pioneers around the Internet of Things, not only for the management side, but the whole industry, is Coca-Cola. So they've got hundreds of thousands of these devices, mainly in the US at the moment. So this is where their kind of proof of concept is. Hundreds of thousands is a proof of concept to them. And we're monitoring the amount of syrup they've got in there. If there's an issue with the device, also they have the ability to shut off different types of drinks. So if they've got an orange drink which is running, they can shut it off, they can change the menu, they can move things around. Historically, they'd had to send somebody out, an engineer out there, to go and tweak it, open the back up and start messing about with it. But now, with the management and the reporting and all these tools that they have at their fingertips, we're managing their vending machines. It's a massive shift change for them. So how are we delivering this? So we've got, like I said before, we've got a very tightly knit technology ecosystem. This is just a subset of them. So anything from applications, infrastructure, security, obviously the devices and content. So, I mean, if we're looking at the content down here, we have our own content locker within VMware AirWatch, but we still support all of our competitors. And that's important because organizations who are wanting to give access to multiple repositories to collaborate on documents don't want their users to be opening up lots of different apps depending on where that document's held. So they don't want to open up secure content locker for their internal stuff, the box one for their external stuff, the Office 365 applications to go off to the Office. So we've got a single application which hooks into all of these. So the user can just open one app and get access to all their docs. They don't really care where it is, and it's just all in one place. So that just gives you one idea of that. The infrastructure side, I mean, it's just huge. Like I said before, we hook into and leverage access to all of the customers' already existing investments. Like I said before, if it's anything like, you know, your web filters or your app authority for checking and the F-Secure for virus and F5 for VPNs, etc. So this has been in place since AirWatch was born because, like I said before, we didn't want customers to have to invest further when they moved into an EMM platform. And we've started to build now the Internet of Things partnering as well. So not only from the telco side of things, because obviously, you know, they're going over the GSM networks, but also the operating system. So as you can see here, we've got the Zebra technologies as well as the kind of standard ones. And interestingly, the Internet of Things gateway organizations that have, or services that these organizations are bringing in place as well now. Okay, so one of the things that our customers have always brought to the table was, okay, so you give us a platform, you say we can do all these policies, you give us all these things that we can do. We kind of know what we need to do, but we need some guidance. So what we're doing now, we're actually launching it in our next version, which is 8.3 of the VMware AirWatch. It's some industry templates. So we've taken our verticals. We know roughly what compliance policies, we know roughly what profiles and security settings need to go on those. So for the administrators, it's going to be very, very simple. They can pick a template. In this case, it's a retail template, so if they've got mobile store operators, they can just click Setup, and it will actually configure our platform to the industry standards that we know, okay? So they don't have to go into each and every area of our platform and start setting up individual policies. We know roughly what they want, so we'll put those in place by just hitting one setup button. So it's a single click to set that up. So we've started with retail, and we're also doing the healthcare. So these are the two industries which are very, very similar in the way they set up their devices and the way they set up their applications. And we know what applications they want as well. So this just gives you an idea of what we can do. So it's obviously the secure messaging piece, the chat piece, so that they can talk amongst themselves when they're discussing different patients. Protected email, so there's extreme security around email of patient care and patient records. And also the applications and policies. So we know what passcodes they've got to put on there. We know what they have to have as management. We know what they have to have disabled on there. So potentially cameras or, you know, standard like consumer things like Siri, etc. So this is a real step change from us just giving a platform to somebody, training them up and saying, you know, go ahead and get that set up. It's going to be industry set up, one-point click. They can obviously edit them, but it will help them from the beginning. Now, I've got a couple of slides here. This is about as technical as it's going to get today, but it gives you an understanding of where we're going with this digital workspace. So as you can see on the screen here, we've got an application which is sitting outside of the container. So you've got the dotted blue line there, which is the containerized area or encrypted area of this device. So in this instance, you've got a user who wants to get access to the Salesforce CRM. Now, it's outside of the container, so in effect, it's an unmanaged app. So data leakage is going to be an issue. They can do copy-paste. They can do all sorts of things. They could leak that information out to competitors, or if they're moving off from the company, they can take it with them. So what it's showing you here is the identity management piece of the solution of the digital workspace. So in this instance, they'll press the Salesforce One application. They've downloaded it from the App Store. It won't validate, and they won't get access. However, if the organization pulls that into their application store, it will be placed within the containerized area, and it will then validate them with their identity management or Active Directory credentials and allow that user to be able to get access. So this will stop any users who have a bring your own device, or they pick up their child's device and try and get access to the Salesforce piece, or Workday, or whatever it may be, around the identity management. So it's a complete validation on that piece. And that moves us on to the VPN side of things. So historically, an app-level VPN or a single app VPN would have given access to the entire network. So a user would have clicked the app, it would have set up a VPN or a tunnel, but then if that application becomes compromised or if that device gets jailbroken or rooted, that will give the user the ability to go in and start attacking east-west within the network, and IT managers don't like that. So in the new world, using the VMware NSX platform, we can give the capability of a single application going into a single VM box. So if at any time that application gets compromised or anything gets into that application and gets into the network, that single VM is the only thing that's going to be affected, and that can be just pulled away, disinfected, and put back into the network. So the risk mitigation against the entire network has been completely decreased down to that one single place. Now, I know that we've got an NSX presentation tomorrow, so I don't want to steal their thunder, but this is a big area for the organizations around the security side. So where are we moving to? So we've seen this slide before, but the bottom bit here is the key bit here. So stand by for February announcements. So Wednesday next week, we're going to be announcing our digital workspace, the naming of this, more information. I've been kind of reined in about what I can and cannot say today. So I would suggest that you get onto the webinar next week. There's going to be a lot of this all kind of unraveled for you. And also at Mobile World Congress at the end of this month. So we're going to have a key vertical focus as we move forward into this. And these are the key areas where we are focusing to begin with. So obviously the healthcare side, as we've mentioned before. So the security and virtualization of the financial services. So financial services is majorly important around security and making sure that the right access levels are given to all their users. Government kind of speaks for itself around security and the different levels of confidential to secret to top secret, and then through to education and manufacturing. So this is a bit of a preview about what the packages are going to look like. So starting from left to right, this is where you've got your standard access, so just a very app-driven policy for all of your devices. And as we move on to the advanced side of things, so just from app policy to having device provision, and endpoint unification, and the app policy, and then the full centralized managed service of all of those pieces as you move into the enterprise side. So depending on whether you need access to a basic set of functionality, right through to the full suite. So here's just a subset of our representation of distributors and resellers. Obviously, our kind hosts today, not showing on there. However, this is a very American slide, unfortunately, because this is one that they had to give me. And this is just a subset. So we've actually got thousands and thousands of partners globally. And as you can see there, we've actually trained up 1,500 partners in the last 2 quarters alone as we've moving into this new world. And our key system integration partners as well as our mobile operators. So again, this is just a subset of the global mobile operators. And these are really key to us as well because, you know, all these devices are mobile and they're all running over their GSM networks. So what are we doing with regards to this year and last year around the marketing and giving you the ability to come and see some of this stuff being showcased? So we ran our Connect Atlanta. So Connect is the AirWatch name for our internal customer-facing events. And as you can see here, this is very well attended in our Atlanta one, but that's our showcase HQ. However, as we move into 2016, we are going to be running that again in Atlanta. I thoroughly recommend you get to VMworld at Barcelona. If you haven't already been there over the last 2 years, it's a fantastic show. Hosted obviously by VMware, but we have all of our partners, our distributors, and everybody within the marketplace. And here we have what we did in 2015. So as you can see, we do hundreds and hundreds of showcase shows all over the world. And we've continued that, so we're going to be doing more this year. So that's actually just showing the first half of 2016 as we go in. And as you can see, you've got the Oslo, Norway, where we stood here today. So we have a global presence, as you know. We have over 700 events globally. And these are not only events where we provide it, we will actually come to events like this as well, where we'll pop up a booth, we'll come and support all of our partners, all of our distributors. There's a huge amount of investment we have across the world with the events that we run. And Mobile World Congress is just around the corner. So if any of you are going to Mobile World Congress, it's going to be a great year this year. So we've got a 20,000 square foot stand just for ourselves, the same as we've had for the last 2 years. So it's absolutely huge. And there we'll be showcasing all of our new technology. We will also be announcing some additional things, which obviously I can't talk about right now, and all the demos and capabilities that we have from our Ask an Expert. Now, there's one thing that we ask from our, as I wrap up, one thing that we ask from our customers is the mobile game changers. Now, these are really important to us. So these are like case studies where we have complete video production of our customers. These are all on our website. I suggest you go and have a look at them. If you are an AirWatch customer, we really do welcome customers because we actually promote your organization very, very heavily out into the marketplace and how we partner together with our technologies and your use cases and how you're using it within the organization that you run. So I'm obviously conscious that it's beer time. I'd like to thank you for coming along to the session today. If you've got any questions, I'm happy to take them now. Or if you would like to come to our stand and come and see me or my colleagues, then we'll answer any questions that you have. But thank you very much for your time. Ooh. Oh, there you go.
Thank you.
All right.